Hi all. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are new, welcome. My name is Amira and my channel is all about trying new makeup, talking about new makeup, but also finding new and exciting ways to be inspired by the makeup you already own. If that sounds good to you, I hope you will consider subscribing, and if you enjoyed today's video, hitting the like button. This video was inspired by the recent video that I did all about my blush collection. It was the all about my blush collection tag that was started, I believe, by Michelle Wong. And you guys enjoyed that video so much, and I enjoyed it as well. And I got so many comments about from people saying how much they loved blush videos. So I decided, you know what, let's have a little fun on a Saturday, afternoon, and let's swatch my blush collection. So these are all the blushes in my collection. As you can see, it's not huge, but it's not a small collection either. I am relatively new to the blush game in the sense that it was never, in the past, it was never like my favorite thing. When I first started getting into makeup, I had maybe one or two blushes. In the past year or so, that has really changed, and I have amassed quite a nice little collection here. So let's get started, and let's start off with my cream and liquid blushes. All right, this is my small but mighty cream and liquid blush collection. Let's start swatching. First up, I have Cool Berry. Might help if I do that. And that's what she looks like. And she is this gorgeous purpley, cool tone purple mauve that has a bit of sheen to it. And let's see. And I love this tone. I don't wear this as much as I used to, but I wore it recently just for the day, and I had forgotten how much I love this tone. It is a beautiful, beautiful blush. Next up is Rosé Latte, and this one is just sort of like a really good mauvey brown. And recently I was playing around with these, and I noticed something that I hadn't noticed before, and so I will show you guys. Do you see how similar these are? Let's swatch them next to each other so you can really see what I'm talking about. So that is Cool Berry. And this is Power Hour. Do you see how similar those are? Now, I would say Rosé Latte is a bit more brown in tone than Power Hour, but these are very similar, and I don't think that there would be much of a difference on the cheeks, but I love both of these so much. And as you can see, the Tower 28 is far dewier. The Fenty is a far more of a satin finish than it is a dewy finish, and they feel that way. Like the Tower 28 feels far more balmy to the touch than either of these, which feel quite sort of like they're creamy, but they have a little bit of dryness to them. Next up, let's try my Melt Cream Blush Light in Sandy Cheeks. And I love this shade. I love this formula. It's even more creamy to the touch than even the Tower 28. It's a true cream. It is incredibly pigmented. A little bit goes a long way, and it lasts a very long time. And then let's do my Giorgio Armani Neo Nude. And I hope you guys can't hear that. There's a car honking outside my window. And this is what she looks like. And this is the shade Brick Red. And I love this formulation. I think I would want a different color in it though for myself. I think I would want something a bit more, more neutral. But this is what it looks like. So stunning. And again, I love this formula, and I would say this one feels, of all of these, this one feels a bit drier than all of them. Like, this is the driest. And when I say dry, I don't mean it's dry. I mean it's just not as dewy. This would be the dewiest, followed by the Cream Blush Light, followed by the Fenty, followed by and then lastly the Giorgio Armani. And I think the reason for that is that this is meant to be a color that you can use on your eyes as well as your cheeks, so it has to be a bit flatter and matter in texture. And finally, I have my two liquid blushes, and this is the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer Blush in Coastline. And I know that this one has not gotten great reviews. I know a lot of people dislike this formulation. I don't. I've put way too much on my arm. I don't, but I think that's because I've kind of figured out a way to make it work. And as you can see, this is I love this tone. It's very liquidy. It's very much a liquid blush. My recommendations, if you have this blush, you have this formulation and you struggle, is to tap this on with your fingers. So take a few dots on your cheeks on either side, and then use a brush. Don't blend this in with your fingers. It will lift and it will become patchy, and it will lift what's underneath, whatever it's over. So it will lift your base and your bronzer or whatever else you have on your face underneath it. Tap on, apply with your fingers, blend in with the brush. And lastly is my Gen-C Beauty liquid, what is this called? The Clean Cheek and Lip Color. And I'm going to squeeze a little bit of this out, and I have the shade Apple, and this is very bright. I will say the thing that I like about this formulation, and I would say the application for this one is very similar to that one, the best application anyway. This one is more liquidy than the Gen-C Beauty, but I would say they both need to be applied the same way in order to get the best effect. So yeah, this looks very bright on, but when you put it on the skin and you blend it out, it's almost like a beautiful, like natural flush to the skin. It's very, even though this is the brightest, it's of all of these, I would say this is probably, ironically, maybe after this one, the most natural in tone once you've actually blended it out, despite the really bright color. Let's get into the powders. So these are all of my powder blushes. Again, my collection isn't massive, but it isn't small either. And as you can see, I have far more powder blushes than I do of liquid, and that's just because I've always been a powder blush girl, and I've only recently gotten into liquid and cream blushes. I do still love a good powder blush, especially in the winter. I tend to reach more for creams ironically in the summer, because I like that sort of light feeling of a cream or a liquid. But in the winter, I tend to reach more for my powders. And then there are blushes in here that I've just been wearing all summer long. Let's start off with talking about, what should we do first? Let's do the cover effects. Alrighty, so put these out of the way here. I have three. I have first the Sweet Mulberry shade, which is probably my favorite of all of them. It's the one I wear the least though, because it's a very, as you can see, it's a very cool toned purple tone. Cool tone, purple tone. It's a very cool toned purple. So it's not something that is easily worn with every makeup look or eye look that I do. So even though it gets worn probably the least of the three, it's my favorite because it's just such a stunning shade, which you will see when I swatch it. I then have Warm Honey. If I can get it open. There we go. Beautiful tone. This is probably the one I've worn the most. And then lastly, we have Soft Peach, which looks quite light, but these are so pigmented. I don't know if you guys have these in your collection. When these first came out, they were all over the YouTubes. Everyone was reviewing these and raving about them, and then they kind of just disappeared, as makeup tends to do once, you know, everyone's kind of gotten past it, which makes me sad because this is a really great formula. And because this shade is, you would think because this shade is so light, it just wouldn't show up on me, but because these are so pigmented, I have no issue with that. So let me start off by swatching Soft Peach. All right, gang, that is all three of the blushes, and let's talk about them, shall we? Let me wipe my fingers off here because I'm like covered in blush. All right, So first up is Soft Peach, and this is the matte tone with the shimmer tone. Warm Honey's matte tone, shimmer tone. Sweet Mulberry's matte tone and shimmer tone. How stunning are these? And I have to admit, I don't use the shimmer tones with these that often, and swatching these has really inspired me to do that, especially with Sweet Mulberry and Warm Honey, because these are tones, like, I love a good shimmery blush. And like, why haven't I been using these? Why have I only been like dipping my brushes into the matte side? Like, that's ridiculous. Look how stunning that is. What was wrong with me? I will be remedying that because I'm kind of obsessed now, especially with that. All right, next up, let's do my Pat McGrath. And if you saw my recent video, you know that I decluttered the blush duo that I had in my collection. So I am back to the original 3 that I had, which are Electric Bloom, Paradise Venus, and Desert Orchid. Let's start off with Electric Bloom, and I will show it to you here. How stunning is this tone? It's a bright, bright coral. And again, it's one of those shades that I don't wear very often, but I love having it in my collection. I love having it as an option, especially in the summer months. It's one of those shades that you can wear, like wear this with a bright coral lip and nothing on the eyes, or maybe just like a really neutral shimmer and some mascara, and you are hot girl summer personified, you know? So let's swatch Electric Bloom. And as I'm blending this, I wanted to show you guys what I mean by how blendable Pat McGrath's blushes are. This went on very intense and looked very patchy, and then as you blend it, it just becomes so smooth and seamless, and it doesn't look quite as intimidating once you've like blended it out. You see what I mean? It's still bright, but it doesn't feel clownish, if that makes sense. Next up is Paradise Venus, which looks like this. Stunning shade, a beautiful shade for fall. I love to wear this shade in the fall. It has that beautiful like rosy brown tone that I love so much for fall for blushes. And then lastly, you know, my baby, my number one, if I can get her open, Desert Orchid. Just my favorite blush ever. It's kind of like what I love about blushes personified. It's got a little bit of, it's got some sheen to it. To me, this reminds me of if you take Warm Honey, matte shade and shimmer shade, and you mix them together, you might get something similar to this. I mean, I don't know for sure, and we could always try it. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll do a few comparisons at the end of this video. But yeah, I mean, look how stunning that shade is. It's beautiful. All right, next up are the 2 newest blushes in my collection, which are my M Cosmetics blushes. I have Faded Clementine and Persimmon. Persimmon is a limited edition shade. I think it's still available. I don't know how long it will be available. Faded Clementine is a permanent shade. She looks like this. Stunning, stunning, beautiful. I've been wearing this a ton. I think this is very, very quickly becoming one of my favorite blushes in my collection. Persimmon looks like this, beautiful bright orange. Both of these have shimmer to them, and that is really my favorite type of formula for a powder blush, is something that has a little bit of sheen to it, a little bit of dimension. So this is this is Persimmon, and then next up is Faded Clementine. How stunning are those? And the shimmer, the glow. Oh, this one, Faded Clementine is just beautiful. I was worried Persimmon was not going to show up on me, and I was worried that if it did show up on me, it would look clownish, and it does not. It's a beautiful, very surprisingly wearable tone. Yeah, I love them. I love both of these formulas, and this is, like I said, quickly becoming one of my favorite blushes in my collection. Next up are my 2 Milanis, Rose Doro. OG, that's the one that's sort of rosy and it has peach and pink and gold. It's of course a shimmer. And this is their baked formula. I'll switch it. I love this tone. Very stunning. And then next is Coco Felicita, and this is one of the limited edition shades, and I was looking everywhere for this one recently after doing my blush tag video, and I could not find it anywhere, and I think this is one of the ones that they discontinued. They have another one that is orange that is called, I think it's called Sunrise Serenita, that is very similar to Persimmon, that is still available. I'm thinking of getting that one and doing a quick little comparison for you guys, because considering that Persimmon is quite a expensive product and it's limited edition, you might be better off getting the Milani one. So this is Coco Felicita. I mean, look at that tone. I mean, look at that. That is, for me, fall blush personified. So stunning. So stunning. I can't wait for fall anyway, because I'm so sick of sweating. I'm sweating way too much for my comfort, and I'm a fall and winter girl anyway. So not only am I looking forward to the change in seasons, but I'm looking forward to like wearing these more often. And again, I'm not one of those people who thinks you can't wear certain makeup products and you know, you have to sort of relegate them to specific seasons. But there's certain things that I'm just more in the mood to wear, you know, in fall than I am in the summer. That's just kind of, you know, how it goes. All right, let's do these four here. So first up, I have my Estee Lauder, and this is the Pure Color Envy Cheek Color in Rebellious Rose. This is the one that had the really pretty flower embossing on it. Mine's is faded a bit, but it's still there. It's still pretty obvious. This formula is very strange. It feels like it's so baked, but it's so smooth. It feels almost like it's not quite real. And when you apply it, it applies almost like a cream, but not. It's definitely a baked formula, and it has that property of feeling very smooth when you apply it, but it applies like a powder, and the finish is like a powder. This was a bit of a impulse purchase, but I like, again, similar to Electric Bloom, I like having this color as an option even if I don't reach for it very often. Next up is the Clinique Cheek Pop in Black Honey. I recently mentioned this product in my overrated products video, and I said in that video that I felt that these were overrated. I stand by that. However, I don't think they're bad. That's the thing. I want to make sure that I clarify that. I said it in the video, and I'm going to clarify it again. I don't think these are bad products. I think they're good blushes. I just think they're a bit overrated the way people rave about them. I think it's a good blush. I don't think it's an amazing blush. Does that make sense? This is, like I said, Black Honey. It's the only one I own. I had another one that was a little too light for me that I wound up giving to someone else who was more, was paler than me, who I felt it would work for better, or work better for. So this is Black Honey. I said in, I think it was that video, if you have these and you're struggling with application, my tip is to use a natural hairbrush. This is a very, very hard formula, and when you're using a synthetic brush, which tends to generally pick up less product overall, regardless of the type of brush, if it's synthetic, it'll pick up less product than a natural hairbrush will. If you're struggling to pick up product with this, use a natural hairbrush, and you will find that it's not as hard to blend, and that the application, you'll just get more product on your brush, and you won't have to keep dipping back in and swirling and dipping and swirling, you know what I mean? But I will say these are quite pigmented, both of these. I mean, I just wipe my hands off and look how stained they are. Next up is my beautiful Shantakai blush in Emotion. This is another one that looks like it would be too light for me, but it's just not. It's surprisingly pigmented. It has a beautiful sheen to it. Again, if you notice the theme with a lot of my powder blushes is that they all have a bit of sheen to them, a bit of shimmer to them, because I love that. I love the dimension of that. I love a glowy blush, a shimmery blush. So this one is quite pale, as you can see, but it doesn't read this pale on my face. And what I love about this blush is that it's an unobtrusive shade. If you've got other things going on as far as your makeup, if you have a heavy eye makeup look, you've got a bold lip, and you just don't want your cheeks, you want blush, you want some color to your cheeks, but you don't want them to be the star of the show, this is a really good option because it does apply some natural shade and natural color to the cheeks and a little bit of glow, but it doesn't overtake the look. You know, it's not like blush, you know, it's like blush. And lastly, we have my Melt Honey Thief blush. This is another one that looks super light, but applies so pigmented and is so easily blendable, or easy to blend. I'm losing my ability to speak apparently. It's easy to blend. I mean, this is sort of an OG fave for a lot of people. It's one of those shades that a lot of people rave about. And I can see why. I finally got mine, I want to say spring or summer of last year, maybe? I don't know, maybe it was winter of 2020, I can't remember. But as you can see, it's super light like the Shantakai, but it's so pigmented and it blends so nicely. And again, it just gives a beautiful, beautiful peachy glow. All right, guys, let's do some comparisons because after sitting here for a while and looking at a few of these, I really want to see what they look like next to each other. So let's pull out Coolberry, Power Hour, Coco Felicita, Black Honey, Paradise Venus, where are you, darling? And Warm Honey. And these are the ones that all kind of have a brown tone to them. And I just want to see what they look like. Let's have a little fun. Let's have a little comparison swatch party. So first up is Paradise Venus. My fingers have been swatching and wiped off so much that I feel like I'm having a hard time swatching. Okay, wipe this finger off again. Let's do Warm Honey. Is this the right one? Yep. Just want to make sure. And we'll swatch both the shimmer and the matte. All right, guys, so these are all of my neutral toned blushes. And after swatching Black Honey, I think it actually would work better swatched next to like Coolberry, which I can do. But these are sort of all of the like brownie toned blushes in my collection. And I have to say, I'm loving this. These shades are so yummy. And it's making me want to put them all over my face. Especially Paradise Venus. And look at Warm Honey. She's a stunner. And then Coco Felicita, I mean, and I often forget that Coco Felicita has some shimmer to it because it looks quite flat in the pan. Like it looks just like a baked matte blush, but it's not, guys. It has this stunning like shimmer throughout that is just gorgeous. And I'm very excited to try that. And I think, I don't know, maybe I'll do a look with this soon, right? You know, just wear it. Just put it on my face. I mean, and look at how pretty Rosé Latte is and how pretty Power Hour is. And now that I've swatched them again, I do think that Power Hour is just deeper. It's definitely more pigmented, as you can see. It's just a thicker formula all around, but it's so pretty. Let's put Desert Orchid into the mix as well, because I really want to see how Desert Orchid lines up next to these. Oh, so stunning. And I think I'm right about this. I think this will be a little bit deeper if you mix these two tones, but you can get something very similar to Desert Orchid by mixing the matte and shimmery sides of Warm Honey from Cover FX. All right, guys, so these are all of sort of my peachy toned blushes swatched next to each other. How stunning are these tones? So first up we have Honey Thief. Next up we have Rose Dora from Milani. Here we have the combo for Soft Peach from Cover FX, the duo. And then this is the Shantakai shade in Emotion. How pretty are these? Ugh. Rose Dora always just stuns me because it's a peach, but it's got a little pink and it's got the gold. And I think, again, this is a great option if you like the way Soft Peach looks and but you don't want to spend the money on these duos because they are, you know, far more expensive than the Milani, of course. The Milani will be deeper in tone, richer in tone, but I think you'll get the same kind of vibe, for this one as you would mixing these two. Especially if you have a deeper skin tone, I actually think Rose Dora would be a better option anyway. Oh, so beautiful. All right, guys. So next up, I have Cover FX Sweet Mulberry Blush Duo, and this is the matte and the shimmer. And then I have Cool Berry from Fenty and Clinique's Black Honey. And Black Honey is really such an interesting shade because here it does fall into that sort of like pinky, purpley type of shade or range, but it also falls really nicely in the sort of neutral brownie tone. And it's one of those tones that I think is unique in that it can go both ways, and it makes it a very unique shade to wear because you can wear it with so much. But yeah, I really love these tones. I recommend if you are looking for something that's similar to Sweet Mulberry and you want a cream, the Cool Berry from Fenty is a really good option. It is a shimmer, but it's got that purpley, that cool toned purple. You know, it's called Cool Berry. It's got that cool toned purple vibe that is so stunning, and that is what makes, Sweet Mulberry, specifically the shimmer side, so unique and beautiful. Yeah, love this. All right, guys, and finally I'm going to do my oranges. And honestly, Sandy Cheeks could have gone with the peaches, but I really was curious to see how much it veered orange, and it really is truly a peach. So I would put it more in the vein of like a much more saturated, soft peach from Cover FX in a cream formula. And then I have this really beautiful, this is called Brick Red, this Giorgio Armani Neo Nude blush, but it really is guts. It really does have like that strong burnt orange undertone, which is interesting because they have a shade in the range that is considered a burnt orange, but on me, this reads very much like a burnt orange. And then you have the bright classic Persimmon from M Cosmetics, and then you have Faded Clementine from M Cosmetics, which again, next to these, looks quite orange, but could also be sort of pushed over into the peach category. Finally, let's swatch these two shades next to each other while we're here to wrap up. Let's swatch Rebellious Rose and Electric Bloom. Why not? And we can throw in the Gen C Beauty as well for this little experiment. All right, and now we have my three brights, which you can see all kind of have that sort of slightly coral orangey base, which for me, I like more. I mean, this is more of a true red, but these two very much have that sort of pinky coral vibe, which if I'm doing really strong, bold cheeks, I'm more apt to go for this than like a bright pink. So yeah, Stunning, stunning. And last but not least, I just remembered that I have my Too Faced blush palette, or my face palette, that I did not grab. And I really originally was just going to do these with my singles, but I do reach for that quite a bit. So let me grab it and we can swatch that one as well. Alrighty guys, so let's swatch the 3 shades that are in this bad boy. So first up is Pink Wink. I'm going to cover that so I don't blind myself or you. Let's do Pink Sand. All right, guys, so do you see these shades? Now, Pink Wink is, again, this is like the brightest pink that I own in my collection, like hands down, as you can see. And I don't wear this very often, but when I'm going for like a true pink, this is what I reach for. But the tones that I really reach for are these two here. Do you see how this falls into that neutral category that we just did, and how much it has a pinkiness to it, but it's such a brown leaning pink. And then Drop It Like It's Hot. It's meant to be sort of a shimmery bronzer, but I use this as a blush because it's just stunning. Oh, I love this shade so much. All right, guys, and that is everything. That is our little blush swatch party. Let me know in the comments down below, do you own some of these blushes? What are your favorites? Did I inspire you to swatch all your own blushes? And did I inspire you to purchase one of these? Was there something that really caught your eye in this video? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye now.